Crunch time in Bahrain. Whatever the outcome, history will be made this evening as Bahrain and Trinidad and Tobago look to qualify for the World Cup finals for the first time in either nation's history. It finished 1-1 in Port of Spain on Saturday, so in theory at least, the advantage lies with the side from the Persian Gulf in all red. Thanks to that away goal that was scored by Salman Issa, it means that Trinidad and Tobago must score to have any hope of keeping their dream alive. The venue is Manama's National Stadium. A very good evening from Guy Mowbray and Brian Hamilton. Looking forward to seeing which of these international minnows will grab the glory of being the smallest nation at next summer's World Cup in Germany. Bahrain, population under 700,000. Trinidad and Tobago, population just over 1 million. It should be exciting. History will be made, whoever goes through to Germany, and you will see the whole action live after this break.
Say goodbye to boredom with the latest and coolest mobile games from Jamster. Join Hugo in his latest adventure, Evil Mirror. Text Euro 5. Prove your mettle on the courts with Actua Tennis. Text Euro 4. Take your team to the top with Sensible Soccer. Text Euro 3. Sail the world in a mass treasure in Port Royal 2. Text Euro 2. Offer the ultimate strategic standoff. Get 1, 2, 3 chess and text Euro 1 to the number next to your country's flag. So if you're in the UK, text Euro 1 to 8888 now and subscribe to Jamster Clubs for £3 per week.
An excited crowd in Manama's National Stadium. A crowd that hasn't had to pay a dinar to get in. The Bahrain football authorities announced this week that entrance would be free to this crucial World Cup playoff game. So desperate were they to fill the stadium and make sure of a partisan atmosphere to try and cheer little Bahrain on to their first ever World Cup finals. Trinidad and Tobago will have plenty to say about that as well. I'm sure they'll have plenty of support throughout Britain. There's quite a few players in the Trinidad and Tobago squad who play their football in the British Isles or have done in the past. Of course, Dwight York is the most well-known of them all. And Dwight York takes his place tonight in the Trinidad and Tobago side. They're wearing their change strip of white shirts and black shorts tonight. You can see the former Manchester United and Aston Villa man now playing with Sydney FC in Australia, captaining Trinidad and Tobago, making his way down the Bahrain line. That's the Bahrain lineup. Not too many familiar names, I'm sure. Those of you who do follow world football closely may just know Ala Hubail, number 30. Joint top scorer he was at the Asia Cup last year with 5 goals. And he's making his first start for Bahrain since a cruciate ligament injury kept him out for 8 months. Brought back just when they need him most. It might just be Bahrain's defensive display, though, that is most important for them tonight. Keeping the Trinidadians at bay is the first order of the day. This is the side that they'll face. Captained by Dwight York. You'll also notice the names of Marvin Andrews of Glasgow Rangers, Dennis Lawrence of Wrexham, Chris Birchall of Port Vale, more about him as the game goes on, Carlos Edwards of Luton, Stern John Coventry, Ken Wynne-Jones of Southampton, and then York himself. Leo Bainhacker is the coach of the Trinidad and Tobago side. Very famous name. He's been coaching football sides for over 40 years now. Formerly the boss of Real Madrid, Ajax and Feyenoord. He's won titles with all of those great clubs. And he's also been to a World Cup as a manager before with Holland in 1990. Not too bad as regards temperature and humidity. It's a warm evening, but not too sticky for the players. Conditions that the Trinidad and Tobago players won't find too far removed from those that they'd find at home. They've had to make a 20-hour flight for this. Here's the Colombian referee. Oscar Ruiz Acosta will be keeping the keen eye on proceedings tonight. The Bahrain captain, incidentally, is a change for this one. Mohamed Juma brought into the side. He missed the first leg. He captains the side because Mohamed Salmin picked up a booking at the weekend. There are 2 changes from the Bahrain side. Abdullah Marzouk and Salmin both suspended thanks to bookings they got on Saturday. You just saw Mohamed Juma captaining the side. He comes in along with Ala Hubail. 2 changes for Trinidad and Tobago as well. Russell Latterby, the Falkirk player coach, is on the bench. Silvio Span has dropped down to the bench as well, allowing Ken Wynne-Jones and Sid Gray to come into the sides. Bahrain coach is a former Yugoslav, now a naturalised Belgian, Luka Peruzovic. Took over from the German Wolfgang Sidker in June. And he might be just about to guide Bahrain to their first ever World Cup finals. Both sides going into a huddle. I wouldn't have thought they need any more firing up for this. It's a case of winner takes all. Leo Beenhakker, I'm sure, will be a cool old head though. He has seen just about everything that football has to throw at you. All set for kickoff. It's going to be Trinidad and Tobago to get the action underway. Stern John shakes the hand of the Colombian referee. Stern John, who is full of goals for his national side. 64 times he's netted for his country. Far removed from the striker we've seen with Nottingham Forest and Birmingham City in the past. He's not always shone in English football, but he certainly does on the biggest stage of all. And he, along with Dwight York and co, are trying to get to the biggest stage that world football has to offer. Alongside me, Guy Mowbray, is Brian Hamilton. Brian, it's a clash of cultures, this, isn't it?
Well, it's a big game, as you've said, for both countries and all these players. Well, it's a wonderful opportunity for them to play on the big stage, and you just feel that Bahrain did so well in the away fixture, got that important away goal, and came back with a share of the spoils. So they have got to be looked upon as favourites, and it's can Trinidad and Tobago just lift their game? They have to play better, and you just feel the home team are favourites.
It's Talal Yusuf, the number 13 for Bahrain, battling for possession. First free kick of the game goes to the visitors. There's Dwight York, captain's armband. Plays in midfield these days for his country, and he's played there a few times for Sydney FC in the Australian A-League this season too.
Well, I'm not surprised that he's in the middle of the park. He'll want to get on the ball, he'll want to pass and play. He'll want to try and keep the whole rhythm going. And he is a talent. He's a lovely touch on the ball, and we've just seen his good vision.
This is Sid Gray, pacey defender who likes to get forward, and he's put in a useful cross there. Whistle went because Stern John was judged to have been climbing all over the back of the defender.
Well, only 1 minute, just over 1 minute gone, but you've got to say that Trinidad and Tobago started quite well. There's good shape about the side, and I think someone like Dwight York, who demands the ball, it can be a great asset when you go to play in some of these competitions, certainly away from home, and there's a terrific atmosphere, quite intimidating, I'm sure. So it's important that the team from Trinidad and Tobago get on the ball.
Throw-in goes to Bahrain. It's worth pointing out that generally the advantage lies with the team at home in the second leg of this sort of tie. The coach of Bahrain, Luka Peruzovic, has been keen to point out, though, is that the case here? Whereas Trinidad and Tobago have just had to make the 20-hour flight. The Bahrainians, of course, had to fly out to Trinidad and then back again for this.
Well, that's certainly a way of looking at it, but I just feel that you look at what a coach is hoping to achieve when he goes away. Certainly would like to get a result and come home with winning the game. They didn't do that. They got a draw, which is okay. And they scored. No, it's going to be safe. And they scored the vital away goal. I think that's absolutely crucial.
It's Kelvin Jack of Dundee in goal for Trinidad. Keeping up two familiar faces from the English League. Shakir Hislop's on the bench. Speculative effort that won't trouble Hassan Ali at all. Clayton Ince of Coventry also in the squad. That was his erstwhile Coventry teammate, although Stern John's on loan to Derby at the moment. He fired that one wide.
Well, I do think they have started quite well, and you can see that they've passed the ball about quite well also. They're strong in the air, and on that occasion Stern John picking up loose balls, which he has done. But you've got to know your distance, and you've got to believe in the distance you're shooting from, and I thought that was just outside that range.
It's one of those quirks of football, Brian, isn't it? He's played 13 times without scoring in England this season, Stern John. He's scored 5 goals in his last 5 internationals. He's only 13 behind Pele's international goal-scoring record.
Well, it is quite amazing, and there's no doubt, obviously, they play against different quality teams, and we speak about players that maybe not playing so well for their team. As soon as they put on their international shirt, they're a different player altogether.
That was Ortis Whitley winning the ball in midfield for Trinidad. Tied it up at the back by Syed Adnan for Bahrain. Whistle's gone again. We've heard plenty so far from the referee, Oscar Ruiz Acosta. Free kick for Trinidad. Would mean so much for the country to qualify. There's only ever been 3 Caribbean sides that have reached a World Cup finals. The last was Jamaica in 1998, Cuba in 1938, and Haiti in 1974, the others. Trinidad, a country that has real problems at the moment with street crime, violence, drug culture. Football can do so much to bring everything together.
Well, I always look at the first 5 minutes to see how teams have settled in, the pattern of play and how confident they look. And I've got to say the visitors have really settled in very well. They've passed the ball about, they look very comfortable, they've got a good shape about the side. And Bahrain really are a team looking to settle into the game.
And looking possibly for any sort of chance around the penalty area. That was wasteful possession from the side from the Persian Gulf. Collected by Kenwyn Jones of Southampton. And now here's Dwight York. York rather fortunately has got past his man Mohamed Hubail. Cross is delivered by Avery John, and Bahrain make a bit of a mess initially of clearing their lines, then the job is done. A slip allows Birchall to take up possession. Chris Birchall of Port Vale, his mum was born in Port of Spain. First white player to play for Trinidad and Tobago for 60 years. Some say it's more like 40, say it's been exaggerated, but nevertheless some landmark.
Well, it's always nice to play for your international side, and he has obviously been adopted by the people and by the players, and he's doing rather well.
And it was from this sort of range that he scored Trinidad's equaliser at the weekend. He's just holding back here. Birchall's ignored for now. Played out instead for Sid Gray. It's a hopeful cross, and in fact he's hit it with too much behind it.
Well, it's not even a hopeful cross. You had plenty of time. Good play from Trinidad and Tobago. They passed the ball well, shuttled it about, got it wide. And from there on, I think Jones and John, they look as if they could be very competitive in the air and give Bahrain a problem. But you've got to put in decent service to allow them to do that.
Hassan Ali, who didn't take the first couple of kicks and didn't get great distance with that one. Collected by Talal Yusuf. As his football in Kuwait with Al Kuwait Club. Gray did find its way through to Stern John. Birchall tries to make the challenge, but is beaten to the ball. Had to depend on Whitley belting the ball out of play. Birchall putting pressure on. Too much pressure. Free kick to Bahrain. Foul was committed on Ala Hubail. He's the man who Bahrain are going to most look to for goals. Interesting to see how long he lasts in this. Oh, that's a shot. Oh, well, Kelvin Jack had to be on his guard. That flew. And Jack's been ruled to have taken that over the dead ball line. Furious, the Dundee goalkeeper.
Well, a couple of parts of that are quite strange. I mean, the shot was ridiculous from the distance it was, but he hit it so hard, hit it so well, got it very accurate. And Kelvin Jack did well just to hold on to it, but he has, as the official has said, taken it over the line. Not too sure about that.
Well, we use the word speculative a lot. Hardly bothered to even look up as he let fly. I thought it was winging its way well wide at first, but Jack was called into action. Corner for Bahrain. It's taken by Rashid. Blocked by Birchall. Still not away, and Ala Hubail is denied. Managed to get his shot in, but it was instantly blocked. Here's Stern John. The action livening up. A tasty challenge from Rashid as well. And did John lash out with his arm?
Well, I think it was more the leg. I think if you look at that, Stern John's a lucky chap. I think here it's a challenge. It's a bit of a dive in. But that tackle from Stern John, well, I'm surprised he's got away with that. This is the untidy defending from Trinidad and Tobago, and they almost got themselves in bother.
It was Marvin Andrews of Rangers who made the decisive block tackle. Yeah, Stern John, he waved his arm around. He stamped tackle, I think we'd call that. The referee took no action, and Trinidad can press again. Headed away as far as Birchall. Bahrain know he can hit them. He actually scuffed that one, but he's won it back well. Only briefly, unfortunately, from his point of view. There's the giant figure of Dennis Lawrence at the back, all 6'6" of him. Wrexham defender. Now a free kick for Bahrain, and this time it's Sid Gray's turn to shake his head in disbelief. Down went Talal Yusuf.
I don't think Bahrain have started at all, apart from that little skirmy from the corner kick. They haven't really put their passes about, they haven't looked a threat. And you've got to say, the visitors have really settled down well. They've passed the ball well. They look at this moment in time, the team most likely to score.
Shaky defending from Andrews, recovered to block the route to the ball and allow Kelvin Jack to come and gather. Been a regular in Scottish Division 1 with Dundee this season, Jack. He only played twice in the Scottish Premier League last season. Mixture of toe and knee injuries. Really ruined his first season north of the border in Scotland. Promising run. Carlos Edwards, who was making progress. Advantage went with Bahrain, albeit briefly. Now it will be a free kick. I always expected a few challenges to come in, and now a word too many in the ear of the Colombian referee. I think it's Dwight York who's going to get spoken to and told in no uncertain terms to zip it.
Well, he was very fussy at the very start of the game. He told all the players, a lot of the Trinidad and Tobago players, had their shirts outside their shorts, and he made every one of them put them inside. So he's a stickler for the rules, and you can see there, and you're quite right, he's taking no nonsense, and Dwight York was told, be quiet, get on with playing.
Dwight York has played in all 11 of his side's World Cup games since his return from a self-imposed international retirement. Had a few disagreements with the football authorities in his native land. He's been an influential figure since his comeback, though. I seem to remember him, Brian, towards the tail end of his Manchester United career, particularly in some League Cup games where Alex Ferguson fielded the youngsters. He filled that midfield role then too. No,
he's a decent player. He's got a good touch, he's got good awareness, and we've seen already on 2 or 3 occasions he's a terrific range of passing. And I think, quite honestly, at the moment, Bahrain look as if they're really stretched. They've got the away goal at the moment, but that's all they have going for them.
At 34 as well, Brian, this is Dwight's last chance of the big time.
Well, you never know. What's the chance?
Here's Stern John. He managed to keep possession despite 2 Bahrain defenders around him. He then lost out, showed too much of it to Syed Jalal, and then lunges in with the return tackle. Stern John's certainly fully committed. I wonder if that's anything to do with the criticism he got for a rather lacklustre performance in the first leg. Putting himself about a bit. Too strong for Birchall. Collected though by Ortis Whitley. Nice turn too. Maybe one of the few home-based players, plays for San Juan. Birchall caught as he shot. Didn't get hold of that as he did his goal-scoring shot in the first leg, but somebody got a hold of him. I thought there was a tackle went in just as he let fly. Birchall seems hurt.
Well, he was very brave. The ball was there for it to be struck. He had to go for it. And the challenge came in. I think there might have been a stud just shown, and he certainly, well, it's a jump challenge. I think the referee needs to be careful. We've seen 1 or 2 incidents so far, and he hasn't brought play to a stop.
And Birchall's still lying out. I was just wondering, if you missed it, how he came to play for Trinidad and Tobago. His mum was born in Port of Spain. His grandparents moved over to Trinidad in the 1950s. His debut for Trinidad and Tobago in May was actually his first ever visit to his mum's land.
Actually, I'm a bit worried about that. That was a real hefty challenge he took, and he was driving through the ball. So his ankle was a little bit loose. So the block on it might have just really shook it about. And well, let's hope he takes part in the game, because he, as you say, scored a super goal in the first leg and would want to stay on the pitch.
It was Syed Jalal's challenge. That's why by golf cart, Chris Birchall is, we hope, temporarily leaving the action. There's concerned faces amongst the Trinidad and Tobago officialdom.
That's the way a director's box should be. Soft armchairs, a nice little table, and the perfect view.
Be some money in that box too. Lashed downfield by Syed Adnan. Lawrence just a little hesitant about attacking the ball. Talal Yusuf, who managed to find Mohamed Hubail. Brothers in the Bahrain side, number 29 Mohamed Hubail and number 30 Alaa Hubail. Who's on the ball now. Adnan ran that one out of play.
Well, it's very untidy, isn't it? The pitch is quite lively, the ball's bouncing up around the players' knees. So it's important that players get to the pitch of the ball. Don't let it bounce, because all of a sudden you do have a control problem. If you can pass the ball simply and get to it early, then that would make the game a little bit easier for you.
Avery John's throw plays in the MLS in the States with New England Revolution. Steve Nichols' side played in the American Major League Cup final on Sunday, his club team, and they got beaten by LA Galaxy. So Steve Nichols' side not champions this time, but he's done a great job there.
Well, I think his assistant Paul Mariner and they're very, very experienced, two excellent talents, and they would certainly help a player.
It's Kenwyn Jones, beaten by the ball. It's going to be a goal kick for Bahrain. 15 minutes played, still 0-0 in Manama. Standard format for these decisive World Cup playoffs. Away goals come into force. The only way this can go to extra time is if it finishes 1-1 again. So the advantage is still with Bahrain as we stand. This is Hussein Baba, another player who plays in Kuwait. This Bahrain side has a mixture of players from the Qatari, Kuwaiti and United Arab Emirates leagues, as well as their own national competition. Not too much experience of playing sides of a totally different football culture. Lawrence. Playing forward by Avery John. Didn't reach his namesake Stern. Collected by Mohamed Hubail, and now this is Rashid Abdul Rahman. Yusuf wins the throw, straight against John. You could very nearly have been seeing Avery John in action in your part of the world, Brian, or both parts of the world. He had a trial with Colchester but couldn't get a contract with them. He's also played in Ireland with the likes of Longford Town, Bohemians and Shelbourne. They get around a bit, these Trinidad players.
Well, it's a good opportunity. A lot of these leagues, of course, now Irish football has got professional leagues, and that gives players who might have a chance back in their homeland an opportunity to play at the professional level. And you always feel it helps the league and also helps the player. He's playing with better quality players.
I know we're going on about Trinidad a lot more than Bahrain, but I'm thinking of the English supporters in particular. I'm sure fans of Port Vale, Luton, Gillingham, they'd love to see one of their players at the World Cup.
Well, you're going on about Trinidad and Tobago because they're simply playing better. There's a better shape. Bahrain have not really started yet. They've created the keeper with one problem, and they've got to get the ball down and pass and play.
That's Alaa Hubail trying to play it forward to number 9, Hussein Ali. We've seen precious little of him so far. It's another speculative effort.
I think you're kind. I think you're kind. I don't know what he's thinking there, because he has plenty of time to do something very positive with it, get it down. And he simply shoots from a long, long way out, and it would, well, it'd be Kelvin Jack would be most annoyed with himself if that were to go in.
He's possibly thinking, well, the last one got us a corner out of nothing. Bahrain have been reduced to that. A couple of shots from, well, distance is putting it kindly, closer to halfway. Touched on by Jones, didn't reach Dwight York though. Stern John will battle for possession, and the bounce was kind to him. A couple of players have lost their footing now. Must be a greasy surface out there. That looked a late challenge. Advantage though with Trinidad and Tobago. Another slip, almost let in Stern John if the ball had come to him. The race was won by Dennis Lawrence, and so too was the throw. Whitley brought into the midfield to add muscle. Was a doubt for the game, actually. Picked up a knock to the ankle in Port of Spain at the weekend. Looks to be moving okay. Helped on by Stern John. Dwight York's just hanging back, hoping for any pieces to come his way. Up goes Avery John. York hasn't managed to win it. He might do now. Some dogged defending from Syed Adnan, and then nothing more than a punt. Bahrain, incredibly, haven't won any of their last 7 World Cup games, and yet here they are, 1 game away from mixing it with the big boys in Germany next summer. They've drawn all their last 3.
Well, they actually said that, and the scoreline would suggest that they're favourites for this game, and you just feel that Trinidad and Tobago, who didn't perform as well as they could play in the first match, would have to play an awful lot better. But really, on what we've seen, we're almost approaching 20 minutes. You actually think that Trinidad and Tobago have got more about them. They've got players who can get the ball down, pass and play, and it looks like young Chris Birchall has got a little problem with that foot.
Yes, Trinidad and Tobago were forced into a change. Chris Birchall decides he doesn't want the golf buggy this time. FIFA officials looked as though they were going to force him to take a ride for a moment, but he's going to limp off, and Silvio Span was already out there receiving his last-minute instructions from Leo Bainhacker. That's a shame for the Port Vale midfielder. He's kicked his last, at least in the World Cup for now. All the 21-year-old can do now is hope and pray that his teammates can do the job and allow him to take his place in Germany next summer, because what a dream moment it would be, not only for Birchall but for all this Trinidad and Tobago squad. He's sure to be included. The performances he's put in since his international debut in May have, by all reports, been tremendous. Silvio Span's going to take his place. Span actually started the game at the weekend, the first leg. He plays with Yokohama in Japan. And his dad was a prominent Trinidad and Tobago international. Leroy Span was once the captain of his country. Can his son do what Dad never did, played a World Cup?
Well, I do believe that they've started off that well, and you think that there's a goal in the side. They've got players who can manipulate the ball, and there's 1 or 2 players who are recognised goal scorers, so there's no reason why they can't get that away goal back. And you just feel that they can get their nose in front.
Perhaps they need to get that play we've just seen on the ball, the tricky Carlos Edwards. Very skillful customer. It's Kenwyn Jones. Great chance and a goal-saving tackle. That is a really good challenge from Hussein Baba. Denies the Southampton striker.
Well, he's done so well. He's got away, and it was a great covering challenge by the centre-back. He did get across. He just spread himself about. The goalkeeper, Hussein Ali, is going absolutely mad with his defenders because they simply haven't marked up.
It's a Dwight York corner. He's gone deep with it, but it's catching practice for Hussein Ali.
Great catch, you know. Had to keep his eye on it. I think that's the first cross he's really had to deal with. And it's always nice to get clean hands on it and bring it away.
And plaudits for his performance in the first leg. Made several important saves. First real true side of goal that the visitors have had, and it fell to Kenwyn Jones, player who is well known for being able to play in just about any position. Most of his football in England have been played as a striker. Remember a prolific spell on loan for Sheffield Wednesday last season, 7 goals in 7 games. It's Marvin Andrews. Looked a foul, is a foul. Free kick for Trinidad and Tobago. It's the substitute Silvio Span who was brought down. I wonder if he'll play a part in this free kick. Apparently the fans in Japan call him the Ronaldinho of the J-League. Suggests he may be quite handy.
Well, I think if they're clever, set pieces could be very important to them, so it has to be good service, good selection, good movement, and you just might get a goal from the dead ball situation.
Carlos Edwards is having a say. It's Span who's teeing the ball up carefully. Dwight York inevitably, as captain and arguably main man, will be around and about this somewhere. Referee, as we've seen, is a real stickler for the rules, is making sure the wall is exactly the correct distance back. York bellows out instructions. Span is primed to hit it if necessary. It's York who chips in. Behind for a corner. Dennis Lawrence was waiting.
Well, Adnan did well there. As you say, there was a player behind him. He didn't want to run the risk, so he just went safety first, get the ball out of play, and let's defend from here. But, well, I just think Trinidad and Tobago have really started well, and they have been the major threat in the game so far.
York's corner. That was a better one. He's got another chance to deliver here. Doesn't even get the throw in, though. Was rather waiting for things to happen for him, York, there. Useful challenge from Span. Avery John misjudged that at first. And then finally the ball comes back down to earth, and both players crash down to the turf as well, with a free kick for Trinidad and Tobago. Look at the reaction of Luka Perozovic, the Belgian coach of Bahrain.
Well, I've got to say, I think it was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, because they were both pushing, shoving. And really, that's what I say about when you get a pitch like this, a lively ball, you've got to control the ball, get to the pitch of it, bring it down, and be in control of it. When it's in the air, it's anybody's ball.
Dwight York. Out comes Hassan Ali. Didn't get there. Just ricocheted away from Stern John. He's then ruled to have tugged back Rashid in his efforts to win back possession.
Silly free kick. Really silly free kick. And he's worked hard, Stern John. He's got a cross. The Bahrainian player's going to have a problem to clear it. All you've got to do is nurse him there, guide him there, squeeze him in. You might nick it back. You're in a very dangerous position. For me, that's just poor play.
One of those days when the odd player might be just a little too pumped up. Adrenaline coursing through the veins. Even for players like Stern John and Dwight York, who've done plenty in English football, this will be the pinnacle of their careers. Well, should it go right for Trinidad and Tobago. Here's Sid Gray. Started the move at right back. Bombed on. Cleared by Baba.
I just simply can't believe how Bahrain have really started. They haven't got the ball down at all, and we read so much about them dominating the play, dominating the passing. And I'm looking to see which player is going to get on the ball and really dictate policy, dictate the way they're going to play. They're inviting problems, and they've just got to improve their quality.
Kenwyn Jones has conceded a free kick now. A little rash with the challenge on Hussein Baba. Some of the visiting players feel like the Bahrainians are making too much of some of these tackles. Andrews and Lawrence had to be on the right wavelength there to deal with that. Dennis Lawrence, an absolute giant. He's nicknamed Tallest. You can see why.
Well, that is why Bahrain have got to get the ball down and pass and play and try and slide it down between fullback and centre backs, because quite honestly they look big and strong in the air. Andrews very strong. So if you keep lobbing the ball in, they're going to be delighted with that.
Carlos Edwards tries to keep the player wide.
No movement from the forward players. Wasn't a great cross, but the forward players have got to move. They've got to believe the ball's going to be played into certain areas and attack those areas.
Stern John collected with a part of his arm, it would seem.
Well, that's the second time he's done that, I think. And the referee's very vigilant. He is, yeah, you don't need to do that. Chest controls, part of the game. Get your arms out of the way.
Another slip. Mohamed Hubail went down this time and stayed down. A bit of evening dew on the pitch making life difficult. Dwight York has gone down this time, but he didn't slip, it was a trip. Now Mohamed Hubail hurt himself as he went to ground. Nobody near him, simply that he's lost his footing.
Maybe his pride as well. Dwight York very clever here, just went to go left, came shimmied, came inside, and
I actually think it did start out as a slip, and then he saw the player's challenge coming in.
Well, Rashid didn't really do it properly. He hung the leg out, and once you do that with a player who's as crafty as Dwight York, there will be a free kick in against you.
And as you mentioned already, Brian, set pieces can be so important. Only takes one to fly in.
I just look at the game, and I think that if Trinidad and Tobago could get one, I think they could get two. Because quite honestly, I've been very unimpressed with Bahrain so far. They haven't really started. They've got the crowd behind them, as you say, lots of people in, all on freebies and trying to get behind the team. But the team have to give something back to the supporters to make them get behind them.
Dwight York has dished out his instructions again. Looks as though he's got one idea in his head at this one. He is going for goal this time, but it's sailed over the crossbar. It's a poor effort really from York. Another let-off for Bahrain. Mohamed Houbail is back to his feet and okay again, it seems.
Yeah, Dwight York will not be too happy with this. He gets right underneath it, goes miles over the crossbar, didn't even trouble the goalkeeper.
Well, Hassan Ali seems alternating. Some of these kicks from the ground he takes, some he leaves to his defenders.
Well, I think the coach will be pleased to see half-time, to be honest with you. I think the scoreline, it suits them, that's for sure.
Backing in at that time, it was Hussein Ali, the number 9. First time we've seen him. Welcome to the game.
Well, to be honest with you, I just think that the whole team haven't started. They've been defending okay, middle of the park. We haven't seen up front of it, no supply, but Trinidad and Tobago, they've got the ball down. Now that's a bit of class, very acrobatic and good contact.
Give it away though.
Well, that's been the problem in their game. They haven't been able to keep the ball.
Sid Gray has found Stern John. Span. Helped out by Whitley. Didn't quite reach Carlos Edwards. Silvio Span will have another go. Jones. All very tight. And Trinidad and Tobago open it up a little. Well, Whitley's managed to get away from a couple of challenges. Now can he shape up to deliver a useful cross? Showed too much of it to Jalal. He was helped out by Ala Houbail. Snappy little spell of the game. Now the cross comes in. Despite the slip, it has been dealt with. Avery John. Silvio Span. Gone for the glory goal. And that was just as optimistic, shall we say, as the Bahrain efforts at the other end.
Well, without being disrespectful to the other side, and they are small nations with a limited resource, you can see whoever goes through to the World Cup, it's going to be a tough time for them, because Bahrain really haven't started well at all. They don't have a semblance of shape to keep the ball and pass the ball. No real leader out there. Trinidad and Tobago have got themselves in a good positions. They then lashed it from a long way out, and it was never going to go in.
I get a feeling the game is Dwight York's to take by the scruff of the neck as and when he fancies, but he's stuck out really on a left wing position for the most part of this. He's not got himself involved in the middle yet.
Well, I think he's alone himself, and I think he can play where he likes, and if he's clever enough.
Well, here's Stern John, blocked by Hassan Ali. That is terrific goalkeeping. He saw the danger coming and bravely went in at the feet of John. He's hurt himself too.
Well, John did so well. Great take, but brave goalkeeping, and he was very quickly off his line. He had to. If he hadn't have done that, Stern John would have had time to look up and maybe place it. But this is a danger to have, and quite honestly, Bahrain look as if they're there for the taking. So Trinidad and Tobago, they've got to keep doing what they're doing, keep passing and playing, and they can win this match.
It was a lovely flick on from Kenwyne Jones, and John got his boot to it, took it away from Syed Adnan. Tremendous block from Hussein Ali. Kenwyne Jones is just having a little disagreement with some of the opponents. Don't think there's anything too much in that. They'll be restarting with a corner to Trinidad and Tobago, who, let us remind you, need to score. First leg in Port of Spain, Trinidad on Saturday finished 1-1. Chris Birchall of Port Vale equalised just 4 minutes after Salman Issa had given Bahrain the lead. The away goals rule means that 0-0 will suit Bahrain, and they'll be going to Germany.
Well, the goalkeeper Hassan Ali made a terrific save. Now he's back in operation, got to concentrate.
Up goes Marvin Andrews. Goalkeeper comes again and plucks it off the head. Well, good take that.
Yeah, he's been their best player, that's for sure. He quite commanding, makes decisions quickly off his line, and well, that was a fabulous save, and I think he's still feeling it a little bit, but he should be okay.
Instructions to the defence in a rather higher tone of voice from now on.
I think so. That's the problem, of course. When you come out like that, you spread yourself, you really can't protect yourself, and it is a brave decision. Did well.
Good job it's not a cold night in Bahrain. Good challenge, fair challenge from Stern John. And that wasn't a good challenge, that is a free kick. And I'd be very surprised if that wasn't the first booking of the game. It's not going to be, you know. It's just a free kick, but Mohamed Juma with a desperate one, it looked to me. Oh, maybe it's not as bad at second glance.
No, it's just technically a poor challenge. He hasn't shown him to go one way. You've got to have quick feet. He was spread eagle. Once you stretch like that, you've got to make contact with the ball. If John goes past him, he's in on goal.
The height of Dennis Lawrence, crucial at these situations. Marvin Andrews too. Kenwyne Jones is a big lad as well. It's Dwight York to chip one over. Two-man wall, the first obstacle. Dennis Lawrence is being manhandled by Syed Adnan. Reasonably even height battle, that. The referee wants a word with the pair of them before Dwight York can continue. This is what amazes me, how we've seen no bookings. I applaud the referee for that, but he's quick on everything else.
Well, there has been one or two opportunities to flash the yellow card. He hasn't been very quick to do it, but you just feel the way the game goes. And this is unfortunately what's happening in set pieces, hanging on to players.
York delivers. You know how to settle for a throw. The wall did its job.
Well, Dwight York will not be too happy. I mean, 20 yards back, and even if they're only 9, he should certainly do better than that. He's complaining they were too close.
Surely you should point that out before you take it.
Well, I think that's the key.
Jones. Another throw-in. York keen to get on with things. That's a measure of what the situation is for Trinidad and Tobago and how it's been. They've been the side on top. Had only one clear chance. Hassan Ali with a super stop to deny Stern John. Salman Issa. Ala Hubail. Touch back from his younger brother Mohamed Hubail. Played up towards Hussein Ali, who was dispossessed. It's going to be a throw into the visiting side from the Caribbean. Now in the first leg at the Hazley Crawford Stadium at the weekend, Leo Bainhack could change things for Trinidad in the second half. He pushed Dwight York further on to support Stern John and Russell Latterby as it was at the start of that first leg.
Well, I think we'll see things twisting and changing depending on the result, because while it's sitting at the moment, Trinidad and Tobago, they've just got to keep playing the way they're playing and hope that they're going to get a chance and take it. Well, the home team are not very happy with the referee. They feel that once or twice they've had decisions going against them, but quite honestly, the Bahrainian side, they just simply haven't started. They haven't passed the ball. There's no semblance of teamwork with them. They haven't created the chance. And Trinidad and Tobago have governed the ball, controlled the ball, and in the middle of the park they're very dominant.
York, Jones let it run. Chance for Edwards to cross. Can never resist trying to beat a man first though, Carlos Edwards. Wrexham fans and Luton fans from this season will know all about that. Now an Edwards throw. John couldn't collect it. Mohamed Hubail belts the ball away. Sid Gray to restart. Threw it away. Ala Hubail finds Hussein Ali. You'll laugh at this one, Brian, as Hussein Ali loses possession. Goes by the nickname in Arab football of Pele.
Well, he hasn't shown me any of that at the moment, and I must say I think the coach must be quite frustrated with his team, because from all reports they did very well on Saturday. They passed the ball well, and we just haven't seen anything off that.
They are known for being a naturally defensive side, and they're showing it. That must stick in the back of the players' mind, you know. 0-0 is good enough.
Well, I do think it changes your thinking, but the coach has got a massive influence on it and what he tells the players, how he wants and expects from them. And I just think that Bahrain, certainly limited quality of course, but they haven't got on the ball and passed and played. And I wouldn't want to take anything away from the lads from the Caribbean, because they have actually played reasonably well. Their final pass and anything that's taken place in the final third hasn't been great, but certainly the middle of the park they've controlled the ball, passed, played, and they haven't been hurt at all at the back.
Syed Adnan has been a commanding figure at the back for Bahrain. Got more defending to do here. It's looping up in the air, and Kenwyne Jones reached it, couldn't do a great deal with it though. Misjudgment. Andrews lost that. And then a wild blaze over the top doesn't cause Kelvin Jack any problems. It was Hussein Ali who had a go. I think Pele might have done rather better.
I think so. I mean, it was a mistake by Andrews, there's no doubt about that. Again, I think the pitch and the flight of the ball had something to do with it. But he should have dealt with it better than he did. As a set-up, I think he had a bit of time. I mean, the volley, the technique wasn't far wrong, but he just simply got underneath it and it was always going to go sky high there.
Bahrain free kick. Syed Adnan it was who went crashing down. Bahrain actually got to this decisive playoff by winning the Asian playoff. 2 legs against Uzbekistan. And it's looked like being a repeat of that so far. They drew the first leg of that one 1-1 away in Tashkent, and then drew 0-0 at home to go through on away goals. That will certainly be in some of the players' minds, maybe that in the mind of the coach too. Was actually an element of farce about that. Uzbekistan actually led the original first leg 1-0. The game was declared null and void as Kelvin Jack has missed it. Oh, a real mistake from the goalkeeper, and he needed Marvin Andrews' help. Holds his hands up and apologises, and the apologies are accepted.
Well, it was a long time in the air. He made an early decision. Don't know whether he needed to come for it, but he just misjudged the flight. Andrews did well. That's good defending. Always believe that your goalkeeper's going to make a mistake and you can clear up the act. Well, they're fortunate if that had been in, that would have been a big problem for them.
And they'd only needed the very toe end of Hussein Ali's boot to make contact, and it was 1-0 Bahrain. And the assistant referee doesn't like the way that corner was constructed. And it's a free kick to Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, I think he's got offside. I mean, they really haven't got anything right at the moment, Bahrain.
Just mentioned the good fortune Bahrain have enjoyed. That first leg against Uzbekistan won 1-0 by Bobby Houghton's side. Japanese referee though made a mistake, ruled out a penalty for encroachment into the box. He then incorrectly gave Bahrain an indirect free kick instead of a retake. And the whole game was null and void. It worked to Bahrain's advantage. The Uzbeks were none too pleased.
I think the referee was he from Japan?
He was, yeah. Graham Poll took charge of the second leg in this Manamar Stadium. Had a bit of a job to do before kick-off. One of the goals was a different size from the other. Penalty spots weren't in the right place. Whereas to need the penalty spots at the death of this one, it will have to finish 1-1 again, as it did in the first leg at the weekend. At the moment, the advantage is still with the Bahrainians, but it's Trinidad and Tobago who have been the better side by a long way in this first half. It was collected by Hassan Ali, who, as in the first leg, has distinguished himself.
He's the best player for Bahrain. Most complete in things that have been asked of him. He's done very, very well. I just think with regards free play, they simply haven't got anything going at all. And if I was their coach, I'd be wanting to sit them down and ask them why they're not passing the ball better than they are. More movement, more confidence. And I think you might be right. There might be something in the back of their mind. If they keep the 0-0, they go through.
Making steady progress down the touchline for now. Not in any hurry, as you possibly would expect, to take the throw. Syed Adnan lofted one up, and Kelvin Jack will gather that one at least with no problems.
Yeah, he took it very well after his last mishap. Maybe a little crisis of confidence, but he certainly didn't show it.
And a trial with Brighton in the summer, but stayed put in Scotland with Dundee. Up goes Span. Fell easily and nicely though to Adnan. Hussein Ali.
Well, they're just whacking the ball up, aren't they? From all reports, they passed the ball very, very well, as I said in the first leg, but we haven't seen that. So many times they've had time to get the ball down. There has been options, and they there's a yellow card for something must have been said.
Mohamed Hubail is the first name taken by the Colombian referee, and he's still got plenty to say about it. I imagine if you keep it to Arabic, the South American referee won't have a problem. York coming inside from that berth on the left-hand side that he started the game in. Ball always looked like it was going to beat Stern John there.
He's disappointed, every right to be, because he's making good movement, good runs along the back line, staying on side on that occasion. What it needed was a measured pass.
Well, from what we've seen so far, maybe just a case of the occasion, the nerves getting to both sets of players. But whoever gets through to Germany next year won't be pulling up any trees there. Out goes Dennis Lawrence. Remember that whoever does go through will be the smallest nation at the World Cup by some way. Neither have been at a World Cup finals before. Trinidad and Tobago have come very close. In 1989, in their final game, they lost 1-0 at home to the USA when a draw would have seen them through to Italia 90. Dwight York and on the bench Russell Latapy were members of that squad. With 3 more minutes of additional time at the end of this first half. Remember, conspiracy theories abounded about that. Many in Trinidad thought that there'd been a sellout with the USA hosting the World Cup some 4 years later. You always get little off stories with these big games. Here's Carlos Edwards.
And they say football's a simple game.
Not when FIFA and politics are involved. Edwards cross. By the head of Adnan. I've been quite impressed with him at the back, the tall number 16. Done pretty well for Bahrain. Now a free kick. Alaa Hubail went down and didn't want Dwight York's helping hand back to his feet. Free kick Bahrain again. A word in the air of Alaa Hubail. It was a push by Andrews on Hussein Ali that has brought about this chance for Bahrain. Andrews clear, further clear from Silvio Span. York. Strong challenge, it was a good one. Adnan it was again who went in. And another shot from range, Hussein Ali this time. Well, how many times is that now? It must be at least 4 that have been fired in. I won't say belted or hammered in because they've not been that good, but they've attempted to have a go from fully 30 yards. And apart from one which caught Kelvin Jack and everybody by surprise, they've had no reward.
Well, he did so well, and Dwight York lost the ball in the middle of the park. We haven't been able to say that too often today because he has done quite well. But the break was quick from Bahrain. They got themselves in a good position. There were options on, and they decided to lash it from a distance. It was never ever going to beat the goalkeeper from there.
Edwards got past the first man. Cross from Carlos Edwards. A little bit of a bump from Mohamed Hubail, sent Dwight York off onto the running track.
That's the good old-fashioned shoulder charge, but you're supposed to be within playing distance of the ball before you start doing that.
This is Whitley. Very good run too from Ortis Whitley. Trinidad and Tobago get the throw in. And this will be just about the last chance of the first half for either side to make an impression. Avery John. Another throw in. We've just about played the 3 minutes of additional time. And there it is. It's half-time at the National Stadium in Manama. Dwight York is keen to make a point or two to the Colombian official. But at the halfway stage, it's advantage Bahrain. And the side in the Asian qualifying region are just 45 minutes away, as it stands, from reaching their first ever World Cup finals. It's not been pretty at all in the first half. We've had little to get enthused about. Trinidad and Tobago generally playing the better football, but they're going to have to step it up another gear from this if they're to get the goal that will give them any hope at all of continuing with their World Cup dream. We will of course have the whole second half for you live from Bahrain. Hopefully we'll be able to bring you a little more meaningful action around either goal. At the break, it's Bahrain 0, Trinidad and Tobago 0. Welcome back to Bahrain's national stadium in the capital, Manama. Not the most famous sporting venue, it has to be said, in the country. The 70,000-seater motor racing circuit that was purpose-built for the Formula One crowd is a little more impressive. But this one will go down in history should it be the venue at which Bahrain seal their first ever World Cup finals place. Managed to get through the Asian playoff to get into this, beating Uzbekistan over 2 legs, and it's following a familiar pattern. 1-0 it was in Tashkent in the replayed first leg, and then 0-0 at home to go through on away goals. Is history going to repeat itself? And one point that we made, actually, Brian, about the general standard or lack of it of the football that we've seen so far is the teams that these two have to face. Trinidad and Tobago, yes, they mix it with the USA and Mexico, but then games against St Kitts and Nevis and St Vincent and the Grenadines, with respect to them, won't sharpen them up greatly. And Bahrain, well, I mean, apart from games against Japan and South Korea, they never really come up against anything. Their group in the second stage, for example, Syria, Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan.
Well, I think the World Cup is magic, and it's a great aim for every player to play at the finals. But I think, quite honestly, looking at both of these sides in the first half especially, and especially Bahrain, that if they did get to the finals, it could turn out, the dream could turn into a nightmare. Because you are talking about different quality. Yes, maybe they might play and raise their game for the occasion, but I'm looking for Bahrain to inspire me in some shape, some way. Can they pass? Can they get forward? Can they create? And I've got to say the answer is no in almost everything. And I think Trinidad and Tobago, yes, would find it very tough. They are players from the lower leagues, a lot of them in England and Scotland. They would be able to get the ball down and pass and play, and people like Dwight York and Stern John would have got a little bit of something special to offer. But it would be very, very tough for either of these two teams.
Sounds like I'm making apologies for Bahrain, but another fact is the population. Less than 1 million people live in the country. Reportedly, I have read something that there's only 600 registered footballers.
Well, that gives you every great chance of getting in the national side, doesn't it? That's the one aspiration for it all.
Players back out for the start of the second half. The second half in which something has to change for Trinidad and Tobago. They have to score to keep their World Cup dream alive. Otherwise, it's going to be a nightmare repeat of 1989 for them, when they fell in the final game against the United States. They lost 1-0 at home to a Paul Caligiuri volley when they only needed a draw. Dwight York played then. He will be desperate at the age of 34 to finally play on the biggest stage of all. Haven't seen all that much of Alaa Hubail. We've seen him up and down the left flank a little bit, but here's the star artist of the Bahrain side, 23-year-old striker who plays in Qatar with Al Gharafa. Has just come back, I should say, from a cruciate ligament injury. He had 8 months out of action. This is his first start for the national team since. He's come off the bench 3 times. It's going to be he, along with Hussein Ali. We're going to get the second half underway. A second half in which we could see some history. One of these minnows in the next 45 minutes or so will, unless it finishes 1-1 again and goes to extra time, will claim their place at the World Cup for the first time, and who knows who they could be facing. At the moment, from what we've seen thus far, I dread to think about what Brazil could do to either of these. Then again, anything can happen.
I just don't think Bahrain can play as poorly as they did in the first half. I do think the coach will have had a word with them, inspired them, and give them some idea where he wants them to play and what he wants them to do.
Here's Kenwyne Jones, easily dispossessed. The Southampton man will give chase and try and retrieve possession. It was dealt with by Hussein Baba. Distribution wasn't too clever though. Disappointment on the face of Salman Issa. He was the goal scorer for Bahrain in the first leg. A header caught Kelvin Jack out. Jones trying to roll clear of the challenge of Mohamed Juma, and Juma held on too long. Free kick for Trinidad and Tobago. Element of backing in as well, I'm sure, but the advantage has gone to the attacking side. Juma, the captain, who was given the visitors this chance. And Dwight York, notably, who's taken every set piece, free kick, corner so far. He's gone into the middle now. Carlos Edwards and Silvio Spanner left to deal with it. Three-man wall. Silvio Span lined up, primed. He's gone for the shot, straight into the wall. Carlos Edwards collects. Span again. Whitley. Once more Span, first half substitute, came on for Port Vale's Chris Birchall, who had to go off injured. And he squandered possession there, and furious blast from Carlos Edwards, not surprisingly. Thrown in by Jalal. That was Issa.
I think the only thing that might change it, the longer the game goes, both coaches will be starting to think about how they're going to deal with the second half of the second half, and I think Trinidad and Tobago have got to throw more players forward, take more chances, and they might just leave one or two spaces which Bahrain might be able to exploit.
Kenwyne Jones has won the ball well. The shot was blocked almost as soon as it left his boot, and then Jones rather clumsily takes a tumble in the box. Game needs shaking up.
Well, if ever a game needed a goal, this one does, just to inspire both sets.
Hussein Ali. The cross is tantalisingly close to being touched in by Ala Hubail. Yes, Hussein Ali again winning the throw-in off Edwards.
But that's better from Bahrain. Good pass and good movement. Get it down the line, put the early cross in. Can you get bodies in the box? Almost got a toe end to it. Almost was the first goal, but a little bit inspirational for Bahrain. They've got to do that, but you just feel Trinidad and Tobago that committed one or two players further forward, so we might see a bit more tension, a bit more excitement, and one or two things happening.
Hussein Ali's cross. Touch clear. Dwight York. Past the challenge, easily past the challenge. Kenwyne Jones making the run for him. Jones bumped Jalal off it. I think it came off Jalal. It's going to be a corner for Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, better from both sides. We've seen end-to-end stuff. We've seen a good ball. We've seen a good cross. We've seen a player almost getting on the end of it. And then, as soon as Trinidad and Tobago got it, this man took it forward in a good run, a lovely pass forward. And that's better.
Dwight York with the corner. Hassan Ali, only half came for it, and it scored! Dennis Lawrence has headed Trinidad and Tobago into the lead. It's the Wrexham defender who's changed the whole emphasis of the tie. Hassan Ali, the Bahrain goalkeeper, hasn't made an error up to now. York's corner, it was tempting for the keeper. He started to come and seemed to stop halfway to the ball. And it's the giant frame, all 6'6" of Dennis Lawrence, who has scored for the visitors from the Caribbean.
Well, I'm pleased for them. You can see the service coming in. There was a lot of bodies in the box. I think it was very difficult for the keeper to come and claim it. He did come halfway. When you come that distance, you've got to win it. It was a super header down. There was three players on the line. They've backed off, and he's just put it between the three of them. Actually put it between the legs of the player in the left back position. But it was a super header. He timed his run so well, and a big goal. And I've got to say, they deserve it. They've been the better side, the most inventive side, better passing, better movement. And they've got the return now. That might just spark Bahrain into some action.
It's got to. We said that Trinidad had to score. They had to score to have any hope of reaching the World Cup. Now they have scored, and they lead 2-1 on aggregate, and they've cancelled out Bahrain's away goal into the bargain. And look at this, Stern John's got away. Shooting chance for John, only parried by Hassan Ali. But we're seeing an entirely different game of football now.
But I think Stern John did brilliant there. I'm not sure he produced the right option. Jones was in the middle of the box. He was almost free, and what John had to do was play the ball across the face of the goal. You can see him coming in. It's a difficult angle. It's a good shot. It's a decent save. But look, roll the ball in there. It's a tap in for the big man Jones, and that would have been the second goal, and I think that would definitely have taken Bahrain through, or sorry, put Bahrain out and taken Trinidad and Tobago through to the next stage.
Well, Bahrain are all over the place at this moment in the game. Dwight York there, though, is dispossessed by Syed Adnan. He's surely shown too much of that to Whitley. He has. It's going to be a throw-in only for Bahrain, whose fans have been stunned into silence. They got in for nothing. The Bahrain authorities deciding this was free to all to make sure of a full stadium. But it's the small band who've made the 20-hour journey with the Trinidad and Tobago team who are singing and dancing Caribbean style at the moment. That'll be some journey back. There's plenty of time, though, for things to change once more. Frustration is etched on the face of Ala Hubail.
I think it was a foul throw as well. Well, that's a silly free kick. Don't give away free kicks in positions like that. It was Avery John who did that. Didn't need to do it. Lots of white shirts around the ball, lots of players back. No, you just don't do that. It's silly.
Talal Yusuf went down. A chance for Bahrain to get themselves back on terms. They have a few big men too. Kelvin Jack, you can hear his voice booming over the crowd. He's barking out orders to his defence. Wants even Stern John back in there. Everybody back on defensive duty. Shot from Rashid. Comfortably blocked.
Well, you just can't see simply where a goal's going to come from Bahrain, because now Trinidad and Tobago don't need to chase the game. They just need to play sensible. If they keep the ball, pass the ball as well as they've been doing in the first half, I think there's one or two players in their team who can score goals.
Here's one of them, Dwight York. Jones and John in the middle. York past Rashid. Blocked by Adnan. Hussein Baba kept it in. York was late. Now is the referee reaching for his pocket there. He had a long word with Dwight York very early on in the game. And it looks as though that's a yellow card for the captain of Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, Dwight York's a very experienced player. And yes, his commitment has been total today. He's been very good, but now he's just got to keep his composure and set standards.
Carlos Edwards. Here's Span. Cut out before it reached the goalkeeper, Hussein Ali. Edwards again. Are we going to see him use some of his silky skills in the rest of this? That time he was leaning too heavily into the defender. Tidied up by Dennis Lawrence, the Trinidad and Tobago hero as it stands. York, shape to shoot, dummied the effort and was then barged off it. Rashid's challenge. Mohamed Hubail is bypassed in the move. Edwards, little touch back to Sid Gray. Jalal's given it away. That was an awful pass. Stern John has York to the left. Kenwyn Jones is furthest over. No shooting chance for Dwight York. Tees it up instead for Span, and some good tracking back from Salman Issa.
Well, I'd like to have seen Dwight York run into the defender, try and get to the byline, put a cross in or else get a shot in. He took the easy option, and of course all the red shirts had come back and squeezed the area.
Well, no surprise to see a much greater pace in the game. Bahrain have to go about their business quickly now. Andrews clears.
Well, as you quite rightly said, they're not a team for scoring a lot of goals, so they will be a little bit concerned now. That's a handball, and I think Trinidad and Tobago just need to be careful with their discipline. You know, they've been doing so well so far, just keep it like that.
That has been a problem for Trinidad and Tobago in the past, discipline. It's what Leo Beenhakker has changed since taking charge. The veteran Dutch coach appointed in April after Bertie St Clair was sacked. Turned it round in the qualifiers. Added a European-style discipline to the team. But he didn't quell any of the flair too. He likes his players to play the total football way, if you like. He has been schooled in the Dutch methods. Here's Carlos Edwards. And that was behind Jones.
Well, he had a super chance to put the ball in. The big man Jones had gone to the far post. Put the ball in and see what happens.
Now there might be a chance for Ala Hubail. Almost slotted it through to Hussein Ali. The defence closed ranks. Edwards again. Can he use it better this time? He's just caught. Mohamed Hubail was the offender. He'll be anxious to avoid further punishment. He was booked earlier on, and he just had a little swipe at the left foot.
Well, he needs to be careful who's been booked, because many referees would have shown a yellow card for that. It was a wee bit late, and
He's a strange one, this referee, isn't he? He seems to be the most officious and fussy type you'd ever come across, but he's only shown 2 yellow cards so far, and both were probably justified. It was Avery John. Jones to York. It's cleared by Adnan, collected by Salman Issa. Comes Avery John to make the challenge. Marvin Andrews.
Yeah, good challenge. He tried to stop the supply to the front player, and that's sometimes a good policy.
Marvin Andrews with nothing more than a hopeful launch. It was comfortable for Hussein Baba. Jalal. Challenge from Lawrence. Deemed fair enough by the referee. Jones. Free kick's gone to Bahrain. Rashid. Mohamed Hubail. It's Yusuf. Hussein Ali is beaten to it. York. Adnan. In came Dwight York. Well, must have touched a part of his arm. Has to be careful, Dwight York. He's one of the 2 players who's been booked. Can't hold on to the ball or show any sort of petulance from here on in. Mohamed Hubail. Challenge from Whitley was just enough. Stern John looking to bring Dwight York into the move once more. No real urgency shown by Jones to get into the box. Stern John's making good headway though. York's cross. And Hussein Ali has held on. It was too close to the keeper. May have been a shot, you know. Well,
I think there might have been a deflection as well. The keeper did brilliantly, but that's better from York. I like to see him try and drive to the line, put crosses in. I think what you do is you ask questions of defenders. On that occasion, the defender couldn't get there to block it.
That's a late challenge. Sid Gray clumsily and heavily into Ala Hubail, and it's a booking for the fullback. Plays for San Juan in Trinidad, where his coach is one Terry Fenwick. Terry Fenwick style challenge, that?
Well, it certainly was a tough challenge, that's for sure. And you spoke about discipline being a little problem before, and I think this is where now Trinidad and Tobago, they can win this game and go through to the finals if they just keep their discipline, keep shape.
It's Jalal. Andrews stroked it clear. Jones to Span. Stern John. Looks like it's gone again. Not too much of that. Just saw Marvin Andrews make a clearance. You can see Leo Bainhacker down there waving his arms around. Marvin Andrews, some character, the Rangers defender. He played on last season despite sustaining injury to his left knee, a cruciate injury. He's broken through here. And the flag's up anyway. I wondered why the Trinidad defence had switched off, but Ala Hubail had gone too soon.
Well, it was route 1, and they've tried it so far, and well, you're looking to see it was that second ball. I'm not even sure he was offside, but it was a miss anyway. But that should give Bahrain a little bit of encouragement, because that's the closest they've come to actually putting the ball in the back of the net.
And it's a warning call to Marvin Andrews and co. I was going to say about Andrews, he's still playing on. He refused an operation, relied on his faith to get him through the injury, and remarkably, he says he still might play for Rangers against Celtic at the weekend. That's after the journey back. Tough competitor, and it's his defensive colleague, Wrexham's Dennis Lawrence, who scored the only goal of this game so far. Could be a history-making goal. Whitley. Challenged by Ala Hubail. There's definitely more urgency in the Bahrain side now. Has to be. Gray. Poked it through. Didn't quite reach York though. Stepping out was Adnan. Challenge from Whitley is too strong. Free kick Bahrain. And Altis Whitley prevented them taking it quickly. Jalal. Past the rather weak challenge of Edwards. That's a stronger challenge. It's a free kick. It's Marvin Andrews. Holds his arms out wide. Knew what he'd done. But he has conceded a free kick to Bahrain in a strong position. I think it was a genuine attempt at first to get the ball, and then it was his other leg that made contact with an angry Jalal.
Well, I think he does do that, and I think defenders certainly have got to move their feet better. On that occasion, he just didn't move his feet, he just hung his leg out, and the player just scooped over his leg. Dangerous position, they've got to defend now.
Jalal's left foot, or the right of Hussein Ali. .5 minutes of the second half played. It's Hussein Ali's shot, and Kelvin Jack was struggling for a moment. Now, is he saying to his defenders there with his arms in the air, I made a mistake, or I had it covered? Well,
he was very clever from the set piece. He really saw the keeper going to the left. He drove it through. The wall broke away, so the wall really let him down. But the keeper did well to scupper across. Good feet, had his hands there, and I don't think it would have went in.
May just have had it covered. That's probably why he was stretching his arms out wide. He was saying, how on earth did that get through? And Bahrain have just fired in a couple of warning shots now.
Well, I think the goal has inspired both sides. Certainly Bahrain have come forward a little bit more, throwing more people forward, but the record of scoring goals hasn't been great, so they'll be a little bit concerned. But certainly Trinidad and Tobago starting to pass the ball better, more shape. Now they can put in the final ball.
Here's
gives
Carlos
them a fighting
Edwards.
chance, yeah.
Hussein Ali, well, he won't bother coming for that. Nobody's anywhere near it apart from Rashid, Bahrain midfielder. Back by Yusuf to Adnan, again Rashid. Pursued by Stern John, it may have been enough to put him off the pass. It's back with Otis Whitley. York caught, tackle from behind, and Talal Yusuf is the guilty party. Free kick for Trinidad and Tobago. There'll be no particular hurry to take it either. The advantage lies with them. Avery John. Hussein Ali able to claim, and Kenwyne Jones was offside in any case. Well, that tells the story for Bahrain.
Yeah, they're very quiet, but you just think that if Trinidad and Tobago could get that second goal, you just couldn't see Bahrain getting back, because they don't appear as to have the ammunition to really break down defences and be prolific in front of goal. So Trinidad and Tobago, they've got to defend well, work hard in the middle of the park, and I do think they'll get a second chance to score.
Adnan had made a forward burst but was ignored in the first instance. Free kick. Angry reaction from Otis Whitley. It's going to be another card shown here, is that? No, the referee's just in a hurry to get the ball back. Dwight York again engages in dialogue. This is 2 or 3 free kicks now that Trinidad and Tobago have given away around and about their own penalty area since going a goal to the good. York joins the wall. Directed by Kelvin Jack to get into the right position. Well, on a repeat of last time where he was nearly caught out. One that sneaked round the head of the defensive barricade. The defender Adnan is poised here, and he hits it reasonably well. I think Kelvin Jack knew where it was headed.
I thought it was a decent strike. He tried to get a bit of curl on it. He sort of hit across the ball with the inside of his foot. Lots of pace. And as you can see, just always clearing the crossbar. The keeper, I think, had it covered and was quite comfortable with it.
The Soccer Warriors, as they're popularly known, 25 minutes away from a place at the World Cup, emulating their rivals, the Reggae Boys from Jamaica in 1998. Have to keep their heads. Span finds Andrews. Just wonder as well, should they get there with Marvin Andrews, Russell Latterpy and Jason Scotland and Kelvin Jack in the squad. Scottish fans will have somebody to cheer on at the World Cup in Germany should Trinidad and Tobago make it. Dwight York is doing his bit for the cause. Doesn't always see eye to eye with the authorities. Fell out with them and didn't play for a good 3.5 years. Here's Ala Hubail. Managed to make some space for himself. Blocked by Andrews as it worked its way through. Blasted clear by Sid Gray. Leo Bainhacker again comes out to the very edge of his technical area to dish out a few more wise words of wisdom. Has been to the World Cup before, the veteran coach. He's 63 now. He's in charge of Holland at Italia 90. They went out in the first round, if you can cast your memory back, without losing a game. They're in the same group as England and Ireland. They drew 3, including one uninspiring game against Egypt. They lost out on a place in the last 16 through a draw of lots. The Irish got all the luck that day.
The luck of the Irish. It's happened before, it'll happen again, but I'm looking to see how lucky Trinidad and Tobago are going to be. And there's definitely a belief that they're going to be strong. They're keeping the ball, they're passing the ball better, and you just think Bahrain are going to have to throw people forward. They have to get a goal, and that's when maybe Dwight York can pick the pass, Stern John can pick the touch, and maybe they can get their second goal.
Corner for Trinidad and Tobago. This is why. Kenwyn Jones was challenged by Hussein Baba. Mohamed Hubail came back to help out his defence.
But I think that's a bit of a waste. They're getting a corner kick. They've got big players.
Could cost them too.
Well, it could. I mean, I think they've got to put it into the area when they get a set piece like that. Put numbers up. Make sure you cover at the back. Of course you do. But believe in your set piece.
And Bahrain are committing more numbers forward here. Marvin Andrews, sorry, it was Sid Gray actually who headed that one away. Brilliantly brought down by Stern John. Got his head up that time and found Kenwyn Jones. Jones up against Adnan and past him, and Stern John, I think the flag's up anyway. Lost his footing, tried everything to stretch and get something on it. Wouldn't have counted. But
you just believe there are more goals in the Trinidad and Tobago side. They've got players up front who can control the ball. Is he offside?
I think just.
Yeah, it was just a whisper or a whisker offside.
Bahrain have got to take chances, and they're not a side naturally suited to doing that. One might argue with what we've seen from them in this game that they take a chance every time they go out there.
Well, I don't know what the referee's stop and play for. I think there's a problem. But quite honestly, Bahrain really have got to show something more. And that was, I think, Kenwyn Jones who, when he was trying to get through the last time, I think that was the problem.
Jones down injured. They do have striking replacements on the bench should they be needed. Jason Scotland of St Johnstone, Cornell Glenn, who plays in the Major League in America with Columbus Crew, and Russell Latterby, 37, the grand old man of Trinidad and Tobago football, still thrilling them at Falkirk. Little magician, as he's called. Bahrain crowd still sitting peacefully, but there are a few getting up and making clear their displeasure to those around them. The Sheikh's not happy. The officials from Trinidad and Tobago very happy at the moment. I've just seen their side concede possession in the form of a throw, though. The full complement has actually come over from the Caribbean, including the President of the country, His Excellency George Maxwell Richards, who travelled with the players and is staying with them actually. Might grant all of them the freedom of the islands. Rashid. Adnan, who's coming forward more and more from his place in defence. And this is a useful run. In the end, he panicked a little. It's Dwight York who's back there to hack it clear. Collected by Stern John.
Fabulous skill. On his chest, players around him, so he nearly did it very well, just lost possession at the end. But I think he's a player that if they give him service, he could do something different and do something special.
Chip forward by Baba. Commanding header from Dennis Lawrence. Immediately he forgot about chasing that and went back to his central defensive position. Jalal. Hubail had stayed wide, looked instead for the ball towards Adnan, who was almost playing as an extra striker here.
well, they are committing more people forward. They have to. They recognise they need a goal, and I think the coach will have had a word with them, telling them to get better service in, believe in it, put somebody in there who's going to win the ball, but that's just simply poor play.
Adnan again. No, he'll have to get back now. Avery John with the throw. Those failed trials with Colchester and Wickham, problems with getting a work permit to play in England, will be forgotten about completely if he reaches the World Cup. A little bit of an angry reaction from Stern John there. It has brought an overreaction, I have to say. It's Mohamed Juma, who's bigger than that, who's gone down.
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of play acting going on here, wasting of time by, I think, certainly from Trinidad and Tobago, but Bahrain, they've got to keep their discipline as well. It was a push in the chest, that's for sure, and it was a free kick. So again, discipline, Stern John. You've got your free kick, just get up, get on with it.
There's one of those horrible, annoying wave of an imaginary card as well following that. Here's Stern John, wriggled past a challenge or two, still going. Kenwyne Jones, straight at the keeper.
But that was better, wasn't it? Good play from the front too, persistent from John, good touch, and a great touch from Jones. He just got the ball down, smacked it, it was just too true. Decent save, but you know, good position from the goalkeeper, but better from Trinidad and Tobago.
Adnan. Better than the long balls we saw in the first half. He actually found Ala Hubail, who's then gone in with a rash challenge from behind. He's going to be carded for that. They'd lost possession, and it was, I think, sheer frustration that saw him lash out. Yellow card for the golden boy of Bahrainian football.
It was actually good defending. I've got to say, I think that it was Gray who did it. He nicked the ball, and then he took the ball, he got across in front of the forward player. And we know that forward players sometimes make rash challenges, and that's what took place.
Two Bahrain players booked. The brothers, Mohamed and Ala Hubail. Helped on by Jones, who took another knock for his trouble. Stern John is appealing for a free kick, but he's not going to get it. And Bahrain aren't going to get that either. It was lax play from Adnan. Back came Mohamed Hubail to help him out. Busy little midfielder. He's had little flashes where he's looked okay. Here's Hussein Ali. Can't reach it.
Well, I think Trinidad and Tobago at the back have looked fairly solid. I think Gray, Lawrence, Andrews and John, they've performed very well. Good shape about them, and certainly when the ball's been pumped in the middle of the park and the two centre-backs have had a challenge for it, they've been strong, they've kept their eye on it, and of course they've come up with a goal.
Yusuf. Gone out again. Rashid. Yusuf to Mohamed Hubail. A lovely turn away from Silvio Span. Have to beat him a second time though and couldn't do it. Carlos Edwards. Stern John. Dwight York's making leisurely progress down the left. Confronted by Adnan. Needed the help from Avery John. Duly got it. Played back by Whitley to Lawrence. Lawrence the goal scorer. Wrexham fans who may have just joined us will be delighted to hear that news.
Well, I've got to say they're passing the ball very well. Keeping the ball, making space, making good runs off it. And they're inviting Bahrain to do something different about the game. And what they're doing is they're kicking them. And of course there's a little bit of frustration as well. But good play from the men from the Caribbean.
Carlos Edwards now of Luton Town. Now Bain Hacker is preparing to make a substitution. Looks like Russell Latapy's getting ready. Here's his great mate, Dwight York. Sidesteps clear of Adnan, but unable to make any progress towards goal. Needed some help there. Whitley. Referee got in his way. Away come Bahrain. Ala Hubail. Hussein Ali. Yusuf was looking to find Salman Issa in the middle. Bahrain might have another go. Mohamed Hubail. Double change coming from the team in red. Hussein Baba. It's one of the longest spells of possession Bahrain have enjoyed. And it's a good cross, and it's not far away from being an own goal. Ala Hubail was primed and ready. It was Dennis Lawrence who put it behind.
Well, it was good play from Bahrain. They passed the ball well. That's a lovely ball in behind the back four. They're stretching. The keeper can't come. The big centre back puts his leg out. The deflection come off it. It could have went anywhere. Fortunately for the Caribbean side, the ball went to the right side of the post for them.
Well, Lawrence very nearly cancelled out his own goal there. Has to go down as a good interception actually, because as Kenwyne Jones goes off, Hubail was all primed and ready to strike. There's the Trinidad and Tobago change. Russell Latipi on to try and weave his magic for the last 13 minutes or so. Ex-Rangers and Hibs star now with Falkirk. Bahrain corner, first thing he's got to deal with. Adnan went up for it. Lawrence went up with him. Nearly broke for Ala Hubail. Jalal. And the challenge made. Needed to be. Now it is going to be a... Not yet. Bahrain just holding back that change just for the moment. Nice work from Issa. But then the cross was a comfortable one for Kelvin Jack.
But he did well to get the cross in. Two players around him. He hadn't much room to work in. Just got himself half a yard and zipped it in. But the keeper did well.
Rashid. It's the most open spell of the game we've seen.
Well, the goal has changed it, of course, and that has really helped everybody.
Issa scored the Bahrain goal in the first leg. Went to ground all too easily there, though. Carlos Edwards isn't exactly a heavyweight. Won the ball fairly and squarely for Trinidad and Tobago, and then launches downfield. He was hoping Stern John could get a piece of that. It has been won now, though. And it's a spirited run by Silvio Span. Teed up for Latipi. Crossbar. Span. Up went John. Latipi again. And that time it flashes across the face. What an introduction that would have been for the veteran.
I think that would have taken him through. Because quite honestly, 2-0 now, you can't see Bahrain coming back. Wonderful play, great pass, great movement, good selection of pass from Dwight York, and you just expected the little magician to do better off the crossbar. And will we look back at the end of the game and think, oh, if only that had went in for Trinidad and Tobago.
Now we are going to see the two Bahrain substitutions. Again, I spoke too soon. Players on the field don't want to come off.
I think they're having a problem trying to get the numbers and trying to decide who is going to come off. There does seem to be a little bit of confusion.
Well, they've got to get it sorted soon because their World Cup hopes have just 10 minutes left in them. There or thereabouts. Adnan. And that sailed harmlessly over. I'm not quite sure what he was intending. I just hope and pray that wasn't another shot. Wouldn't be surprised with some of the stuff we've seen.
Well, that was a long way out, but they do need a goal.
Salman Issa was Bahrain's goal hero in the first leg, but he won't be in this one. His place taken for the rest of this by Fauzi Mubarak Aish. Aish, who also came on at around about the same stage. It was the same substitution actually that was made at the weekend. Here's Jalal. First touch for Aish. Jalal. Andrews clear. Span. Stern John. And John had an attempt at a touch and run and was obstructed.
I think Span has done well in the second half. He's been strong in the middle of the park. It was his run that created the chance for York and then Latipi. And he's been very busy, good touch. And he does what defenders don't like. He gets the ball down and runs at you.
Free kick taken short to Span. Didn't reach York, cut out by Adnan. Nice touch past Avery John. Leaves it for Allahu Bail to take over. But then a slip has allowed Span to take up possession again. York. Latterby just holding back. York couldn't get around the challenge of Rashid. Allahu Bail. Nearly found brother Mohammed Abail. It's Talal Yusuf. Adnan. Lost out. It was a good challenge. Latterby now. York. Those two know each other's game inside out. Avery John. And again Russell Latterby. Well, if he and Dwight York were to be on the field at full time to celebrate Trinidad and Tobago getting to a World Cup, it would be... well, it would erase the heartache of 1989. They were there in Trinidad, beaten by the USA. The very last game. Now here's another familiar face to fans of English football outside the Premiership. Carlos Edwards is making way. Significant change that. Tricky winger off. Solid no-nonsense defender on. Ian Cox of Gillingham, at the age of 34, has come on. Born in Croydon. His mother comes from Tobago. Came out of international retirement last year after 3 years away. 8 minutes away from a dream. Well,
he's another player who's very strong in the air, very competitive, and they are, as you say, trying to tighten things up at the back, making sure that Bahrain can't get in if they're going to start lobbing balls in, that they've got the height, the power. They've got Andrews, they've got Lawrence, now they've got Cox, so they're very solid. But that's sometimes an invitation for the other team to throw things forward, put people forward.
Kelvin Jack. Distance the priority now for Trinidad and Tobago. Jalal. Distance and keeping possession. Jalal has got away from Stern John. The defender's backing away, and it's Ian Cox whose first touch is a good one. Gets the ball away from immediate danger at least. Rashid wants it returned to him. Cox being beaten off it. Good work from Yusuf. He's won a corner for Bahrain.
Yeah, Cox was wrong. He tried to allow the ball to travel over the line out of play. You've got to deal with it sometimes. It was never going to get there. It was almost a difficult situation for his teammates.
And this could be too. It's a testing corner. I think Ian Cox it was who got his head to it. And then coming back to help out the defence. That's some great work from Stern John.
He's done well today, I think. Different aspects of his game have been very, very good. Good touch, good control. He's worked hard along the line, and as you can see, he's prepared to do his fair share for the team.
And some of the crowd apparently gave him a bit of stick on Saturday when he wasn't his usual self, for his country that is, I should say. He's played 13 times in English football this season without scoring. But as the coach of Bahrain looks on and frantically looks to try and do something, Luka Peruzovic, John has certainly atoned for that. And they obey Hacker's main striker. Back to the form he's shown throughout the World Cup qualifying campaign, to which he's contributed 12 goals. Only Jared Borghetti of Bolton has scored more in the region. Borghetti may well be joined at the World Cup by John. Trinidad and Tobago are 5 minutes plus injury time away.
Well, they've got to be careful at the moment. What they've done, they've added the extra centre half on. They're playing with 3 centre backs, and they're really only playing with 1 forward player. But they're defending very deep, and I think that sometimes can be a problem for you. So the back line have got to push out as far as they comfortably can do and try and get the ball down and pass and play. When they were doing that, they looked not bad, and they looked as if they could give Bahrain a problem going forward also.
Avery John. Stern John's giving chase, and he will get to that. Couldn't quite keep it in though. Took an awkward looking tumble onto the running track too. None the worse for it. Back with Hassan Ali. Route 1 time for Bahrain. No change there then, some might say.
Well, no, I do think it's an interesting ploy, and it's certainly going to make the last 5 minutes a little bit more interesting, because quite honestly Trinidad and Tobago are defending. They've put the big guns on, but quite honestly, the service in has been poor from Bahrain. They've got themselves in a decent positions, and you can see why Ben Hacker has done what he has done. He has put the 3 centre backs there. Yes, he has put Lataby on. He's playing him in the middle of the park. He's got Stern John, who's looking quite still full of running, and he's trying to say keep the ball in the middle of the park, keep passing it. He's smiling, but it's an important time, so concentration's the key. And they mustn't give away silly free kicks. Any silly free kicks in the round the box can be a problem for them now.
Stern John looked to be smiling as he was beaten in the aerial challenge there. Russell Lataby plays the game with a smile on his face. Dwight York, of course, too. We'll be seeing that trademark grin in a few minutes should the score remain the same. Into the corner. Tell you what, 3.5 minutes is a long time to keep it there. Stern John goes down, though. And the free kick has gone to Bahrain.
Well, I don't know why he's done that. That obviously was, he felt he was obstructing play, but it's definitely eating the clock out, that's for sure. The 3 minutes plus whatever time's added on. I don't see much time added on. There hasn't been too many injuries. There hasn't been too much wasting of time, so that'll be an interesting situation when we see the electric minutes going up.
Andrews hoofs it downfield. Not much pressure on the ball from the Trinidad strikers there, though, but they've been gifted possession. Lataby. Now York. Stern John's in the middle. He might not be needed here. Dwight York has managed to keep it and somehow keep the ball in play too. York now crosses. I think he was looking for the corner.
Yeah,
looking for the deflection.
He was, but it just didn't work for him.
Hussein Ali did well despite the sprawling challenge of Marvin Andrews. Yusuf now. Excellent tackle. Yusuf tried to come back. Rashid has been beaten as well. Now Stern John makes his way into the middle. There's Hussein Baba with the challenge to dispossess Otis Whitley.
Well, Whitley did well, won the ball in the middle of the park. All he had to do was keep running. He was waiting for the challenge, waiting for support. It didn't come his way.
Now the challenge does bring about a Trinidad and Tobago free kick. Time running out for Bahrain. Lataby's free kick when he's good and ready. And he's going to get a yellow card here for taking too long about it. I'm sure he'll put that one in the bank. Thank you very much. Don't mind at all.
Well, if they get the win, it'll all be important.
York.
I think he's important now. Can he retain possession? Can he get some support around him? Can he get a corner kick? He's got that. That's clever play from Dwight York, and now in the last minute it's about mental strength now, concentration, and they're not in any hurry to get the ball. Bahrain really rushing to put the ball in the spot. I would imagine he'll take a short corner kick. Can't see anything else.
Is it my imagination, or is the man with the megaphone in the crowd getting more and more frantic?
Well, I think they were very confident going into the game, and of course now they're looking at it. Looks like defeat. It's another corner kick again. Well, you can see the shoulders dropping as well. Dwight York says they're throwing 2 balls at me now. They just want to simply get on with the game, the Bahrain ball boys.
It's the old heads, Lataby and York. How fitting. Lataby dummies the first effort, says the defenders are too near. Referee says just get on with it.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
a 2-footed lunge that thankfully didn't make contact with Dwight York, but he wanted a word with Yusuf, who then raised his arms against York.
Well, we're a long way.
And oh, here we go. Stern John is involved in something here with Jalal, and the referee's going to have to get a grip. I did wonder if this was going to happen. This is such a big game, everything at stake, and now frustration's boiling over. Some of the Bahrain players are annoyed at the time-wasting tactics of the Trinidadians. And is that something thrown from the stands as well? It looked like it. And the goalkeeper's getting worked up as well, Hassan Ali. And everything is threatening to end in a horrible, untidy, bad-tempered fashion. And you can only say that, yes, it's frustrating, but Bahrain, worried them in this position, will be doing exactly the same.
Well, I think the referee's a little bit at fault here. He was very fussy at the start of the game with putting your shirt in, but there's sometimes you've got to be strict with the rules. And that was an unbelievable challenge coming in Dwight York.
And there are bottles raining down here on Russell Lataby. That's 3 we've seen come down towards him. Not only do they look like exiting the World Cup, Bahrain, but FIFA might have a little more to say to them about it too. We're into the second minute of injury time. Hassan Ali's touch to Syed Adnan. Adnan, he's got to launch it. It's all he can do, but it's harmlessly through to Kelvin Jack.
Well, he was slow off his line. The centre-back left it for him. He must have got a shout. He's sticking his thumb up and saying, well done. But I'd like to have seen him a little bit further and closer to the ball.
And now Jack's been dispossessed. The crowd are getting quite excited, but the whistle has gone. Hussein Ali is claiming that he didn't hear it, I think. He put the ball in the net, and now the referee's being manhandled. And Bahrain have completely lost the plot here. Well, the assistants are needed here too. Well, what's he going to do? The Colombian referee looks as though he's scared to death by this. No, desperately trying to keep order is Ala Hubail. He's pushing his teammates out of the way. Well, and Dennis, the coaching staff are on the field too.
Yeah, but Dennis Lawrence is exactly right. He's telling all the Trinidad Tobago players, come out of the way, get out of the way, let the referee and his officials sort it out. And it's reminiscent of the Gordon Banks, George Best situation when he just lobbed the ball up and Best came in and took it away. Once he does that, you can't put your foot up in the air, because then, of course, you're going to hurt the goalkeeper when it happens. But, well, the Bahrainian players have just lost it. They see themselves going out of the World Cup. They've got so close, and I think they did actually believe they were going to happen. Once he does that...
High feet.
Well,
some would argue nothing wrong with it, but we've had this argument for years, as you say, right the way back to then.
I think it's just a rule that once the keeper does that, you can't put your foot there, you can't take it away like that, and that's the problem. Of course, it'll be argued about for a long time in Bahrain, for an even longer time. But I do think the keeper should have just done him, everybody a little bit of a favour, just got himself a little bit more room. He's got 6 seconds, he's got all the time in the world to do something about it.
And what's the referee going to do about all this? He's got a red card out. Now, if he did show it to anybody, we missed who too? It's Hussein Baba, number 17, who's drifting towards the touchline. And is he the recipient of the red card? Looks as though he might be. Trudging disconsolately towards the dressing rooms. Hussein Baba's protests. Well, he's been picked out of the crowd, really. Could have been one of about 6.
Well, I don't know. The referee was up close and personal with many of them, and there was definitely pushing and shoving going on, and I'm sure he did get a shove. If that's the case, as soon as you put your hand on the referee, there's only one card you're going to get. It's the red card.
Hussein Ali Baba. Well, it's not going to make any difference to the result now. But Bahrain are down to 10 men. I should think the referee is just desperately keen to blow the full-time whistle now. That was an anxious moment for him.
No, but I think that's what needs to happen. Oh, there's 2 minutes. Well,
we've played 4 minutes of added on time already.
Well, it'll be allowed to judge what he can add to the play.
Stern John goes down. Well, the free kick's gone against him.
Well, it should never have been.
Ian Cox watches, waits, but then misjudges the header. Marvin Andrews then blasts the ball to safety. Stern John will give chase. We've got a dramatic ending. We almost nearly had the chance of another Trinidad and Tobago goal. Juma did just enough, and now it's Hassan Ali with the big belt. Cox there again. Minute and a half. It's all that separates Trinidad and Tobago from their first ever appearance at the World Cup. Thrown in by Yusuf. Ala Hubail, he's won a corner. It's not one yet for the visitors. Surely have to pull everybody back on deck here. They do have an extra man, but anything can happen from these set pieces. Trinidad and Tobago have the height. They're going to have to use it not once but twice. It's still not clear. Adnan was scrapping for it. Snapshot! Oh, what a save! Kelvin Jack may have just propelled Trinidad and Tobago to the World Cup finals. That is some stop.
Well, it's a magnificent shot, it's a magnificent save, and it's still not finished.
Another corner. Headed confidently away, and that's it. The celebrations are from the men from the Caribbean. Trinidad and Tobago have won by 1-0 in Bahrain. They're going to Germany next summer. Dennis Lawrence of Wrexham, the goal-scoring hero. His last goal was at Bristol Rovers in a League Two game. That was a month ago. A month on, he's taken Trinidad and Tobago to their first ever appearance at world football's greatest showpiece. The second half, well, the whole game in general did belong to the men from the Caribbean. Bahrain lost their tempers as they desperately chased the game in the closing seconds. And still, the visitors needed an amazing last-minute save from Kelvin Jack to get them to that World Cup next summer. What an amazing finish we've witnessed at the National Stadium in Manamá, Bahrain. What an amazing night it will be in Port of Spain, Trinidad tonight. The celebrations will go on long into the night. We'll just have the closing thoughts from Brian Hamilton.
Well, I think the best team won. Bahrain never started. The first half was poor for them. I thought Trinidad and Tobago bossed that. They got the goal, which was all important. And then after that, what a save just to take them through. But a big performance from the men from the Caribbean.
I'm sure many people from Britain will have them down as their second team next summer. Trinidad and Tobago are going to the World Cup.